to Red Mug Music. I'm Brian. Glad you could be with me today. We're going to do another top 5 video, and today we're going to talk about the Beatles' top 5 studio albums. Now, I can clearly say that the Beatles are my favorite band to exist of all time. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on why they're my favorite band, or actually how they became my favorite band. But I wanted to wait till I did a few of these videos, as you can see back here. I wanted to wait until I did a few before I did this one because I wanted to do it right. So now that I've started the top 5s, I thought this would be the perfect time to talk about what I consider the Beatles' top 5 albums of all time. Now, I know the whole topic of what album is better than, which other album is completely subjective, but I try to use some kind of a system here to decide which one is better. And the reason why I do this, say you're not a Beatles fan, or you want to become a Beatles fan, you can watch something like this and get an idea of what I think is a good album. Maybe that's a good way to start. So before we get started, if you're new, or if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. You'll be the first to know whenever a new video comes out. You'll get a notification, so do that for me. Also, I'm on Instagram at Red Mug Music, so be sure you follow me there as well. That would be fantastic. So let's get on with our top 5 Beatles studio albums of all time. Now, of course, I'm going to be using the British versions. I don't want to use the American version because that just gets a lot more complicated. But let's start with number 5. Okay, the number 5 Beatles studio album of all time, in my opinion, is Rubber Soul. Now, Rubber Soul came out in 1965. Rubber Soul was released after the Help album. And Rubber Soul within itself demonstrated so much growth within the Beatles and so much maturity that they had gone through. So no more of this bubblegum pop. They wanted to do something that was a lot more serious and something that would make them be taken more seriously. So according to George Martin, which was their producer, this was the album Rubber Soul that they first saw as an art. They were seeing the album as a whole. But in short, Rubber Soul was extremely groundbreaking. And it kind of started a new era of how albums were made. Now, Rubber Soul is where we got songs like Drive My Car, Michelle, and one of my favorites in my life, and I constantly find myself singing Norwegian Wood. I love that song. There is just a good eclectic mix of songs showing the Beatles expanding musical skills with their instruments and how they record in the studio. So it's just a fantastic album. Now, the problem I have with Rubber Soul is even though the Beatles were evolving and moving away from that bubblegum pop, they were still not being very, very creative. All the songs were very short. They were simple. The arrangements were simple. They were good. And it was definitely the right step in the right direction, but they were still very, very simple. To explain this, there's 13 songs, but the album still comes in under 40 minutes. So I think the longest song is about 3 minutes long, so not very long. So in my opinion, Rubber Soul is a very good album. We got a lot of really good stuff from it, so that's why they came in at number 5. Now, I think the number 4 album is going to be a little bit of a letdown. I think a lot of people aren't going to like this, but my number 4 album is Revolver. Now, I consider Revolver as Rubber Soul 2.0. It's just more studio experimentation. There's more instruments and more drugs. Revolver expanded the boundaries of pop music and continued to evolve from that bubblegum pop I was talking about from prior years. But the issue I'm having with this album is just like the previous album. Revolver is great as it is, and and it's perfectly on that step of evolution that the Beatles went through. It still seemed to me like just a big collection of songs. I didn't even think Rubber Soul sounded like a collection of songs like Revolver does, but Revolver does. But my favorites on this album are "I'm Only Sleeping," "Here, There, Everywhere," "Good Day, Sunshine," "For No One," got to get you into my life, and I love how this album starts with George Harrison. He gets to start an album with Taxman, and just the way they start that off is fantastic. It also includes favorites like Eleanor Rigby and Yellow Submarine, but they're actually not my favorites. I don't think Yellow Submarine doesn't sound like it should be on this album. I kind of wish they would have waited and put it on the Yellow Submarine album only, or maybe it could have fit on Sgt. Pepper's. I don't know. But in today's world, this album, Revolver, has surpassed Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band as the best album in most people, in a lot of people's opinion. But I think that is completely unfounded, and I just don't understand where people are getting that from. Maybe they're just tired of Sgt. Pepper's being the best album of all time. Even Rolling Stone magazine deemed Sgt. Pepper's as the greatest album of all time, and then now it's, 24? But Revolver beats Rubber Soul due to it being a step further in the evolution and moving closer to becoming some of Beatles' best music they've ever created. So that's why Revolver is number 4. Okay, on to number 3. So the number 3 Beatles album of all time, according to me, is The Beatles, or commonly known as the White Album. Now, I can talk all day about what I don't like about this album. I don't want to do that because I love the Beatles. Now, understand the Beatles are my favorite band of all time. I'm already not a fan of double albums. I don't like them. I think they make the artists or producers or whoever throw in just a lot of junk that doesn't need to be in there just so they have a large album. And the Beatles were just recording all kinds of stuff. Now, but on the flip side, you have the White Album, and a lot of people see it as just a lot of eclectic mix of just different things, from goofy to serious, with contributions from all 4 of the Beatles. But as an album, I struggle with that because I want to listen to an album from the beginning to the end. And the White Album is really difficult to do that because it takes a long time and there's a lot of stuff in there that I don't want to hear. It's 30 songs. This has got 30 songs, and lots of these songs are just filler, like let's say Wild Honey Pie or Why Don't We Do It on the Road, which I actually do like. There's also a lot of songs that aren't taken seriously, like Obla Dee, Obla Die, which I like as well, Bungalow Bill, Piggies, Rocky Raccoon, Revolution Number 9. So with these songs, and if you remove some of the weaker tracks, you'd have a really good album with absolutely no fat and no fluff. It would be so fantastic. I don't know why bands don't do this, but they wanted something gigantic, and here it is, and people love it. However, this album does have some amazing stuff, like Back in the USSR, While My Guitar Gently Weeps is an amazing song. Happiness is a Warm Gun. I Will, that's a really good one. And Blackbird. This does have some really good stuff, and I see why people love it. But again, the beauty of this album is this vast variety of music that you get to experience in one setting, if you can set for 30 songs. And it shows there's really nothing the Beatles can't do. So, and I also think that the White Album, it beats out Rubber Soul and Revolver because the songs are just better done. There's a lot more experimentation. There's a lot more creativeness, and they put so much more time into these songs. And that's why it's at number 3. Okay, we're down to number 2. My opinion, the number 2 Beatles album, studio album of all time, is Abbey Road. This is an album that actually I've got all these records down here. I don't know why I didn't pull them out. I have all the originals except for Revolver. I don't have that one. I saw it today though. brand new at Walmart, but I didn't get it. It's like $22. I should have gotten that. Anyway, so Abbey Road is what I thought would be their number 2 album. After recording Get Back, McCartney, he wanted to team up with George Martin again and record an album the same way that they used to. But George Martin agreed to it if, everybody would just listen to him and let him do it. But Paul McCartney wanted to use a theme, or like a thematic approach like they did with Sgt. Pepper's. And he also wanted to include a medley. So that was all Paul McCartney's idea. But the funny thing about it is John Lennon wanted to have all of Paul McCartney's music on one side and all of John Lennon's music on the other side. So that would have completely messed up the whole theme of this album, and there would not have been a medley unless each of them had their own medley on each side, which I really doubt. So Paul McCartney's way is definitely the better way. Now, Lennon's contributions included Come Together, Because, and I Want You as full songs. And then he had Sun King, Mean Mr. Mustard, and Polythene Pam as part of that medley, which was amazing. Then you had Paul. He had Maxwell Silver Hammer. Let's see, Oh Darling as full songs, and You Never Give Me Your Money. And She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, Golden Slumbers, and Carry That Weight as part of that medley. That was their contributions. Now, Harrison, I really think, besides the medley, I really think George Harrison had the best contributions with Something and Here Comes the Sun. That was really, really good stuff. Then you had Ringo with his Octopus's Garden. Abbey Road, this is what really, really great albums are made of. There's really nothing on this album besides Come Together and Harrison stuff that's just really, really super amazing. It's just a good concept. It's song flow, it's song sequencing, it's the medley, it's just how they did it. You don't have to have, amazing songs to create an amazing album. And you can have a crappy album full of amazing songs. And I don't think people understand that as much as they should. And that's something that I'm trying to relay to you guys. So due to the album having a theme that created this like bond throughout the whole album for this album, and these songs are a lot more complex than what they had seen in the past. The quality is perfect. The medley is absolutely perfection. Had a perfect ending, and all of this under 48 minutes. Actually, it was 48 minutes long, and this album was just packed full of really cool stuff. So that's why I think Abbey Road should be number 2. Okay, this is the album we've been waiting for. The number 1, that's 11, the number 1 Beatles studio album of all time, according to me, is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I'm not sleeping on this album like people are now. It used to be what everybody considered as their best album. And then they decided, no, we're going to go with Revolver now, or even Abbey Road, but there's no way. Here are my notes. After evolving their sound with Rubber Soul and with Revolver, the Beatles were ready to create what I consider their masterpiece. So I think Rubber Soul and Revolver were very important in the evolution to get to here. Sgt. Pepper was a concept album thought up by Paul, which introduces a band called Sgt. Pepper's Band, which was led by Billy Shears. That is the perfect beginning song. It's the perfect introduction that you can finally come up with. It just sounds like a perfect song. It just sounds like it should be where it is. It's done well. And then Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band segues into the second song, which is With a Little Help from My Friends. I couldn't think of the name. And the beauty of that, the way they did it is perfect. But what I think is so good, this is a really good 1-2 song for an album. And the first one was just an introduction. And the second one was sung by Ringo Starr. It's like, we're the best band in the world because we can segue, just like a beginning number into Ringo Starr singing. It blows my mind. I don't know if I can really put into words what I think about that. But this is my favorite beginning of all albums. This is how albums should be done. It's got a nice introduction, and then boom, right into it. It's just beautiful. And then you go into the rest of the album, which demonstrates the Beatles' musical range by including rock and vaudeville, and big band, blues, circus, and Western music, and more types of styles, proving, again, like I said with the White Album, that the Beatles can do anything, but they can do it really, really good. And then in the end, they reprise Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with a different arrangement, and then segues again into A Day in the Life. Mind blown. I mean, this is great stuff. This is genius. This is absolutely genius. And A Day in the Life is one of my favorite songs of all time. And A Day in the Life is the reason, well, actually the reason why I'm a big Beatles fan is my grandmother had the idea of giving me With the Beatles. And so I was already into the Beatles because of that. And then I remember hearing A Day in the Life on the radio, and that was it. I was like, the Beatles are so amazing. I need to know everything that they've done. To the beauty of the reprise of Sgt. Pepper's going into A Day in the Life. A Day in the Life is a medley within itself. You know, you have your first part by Lennon, then you have your middle part, which sounds like a completely different song sang by McCartney, which is my favorite part. You may not know this, or you may have noticed that McCartney is by far my favorite Beatle. And then it segues back into the third part, which is Lennon again. This is a beautiful song. So Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band has a perfect beginning. It has a huge mix of just wonderful music on the end, in the middle. And a lot of good segues, a lot of good transitions, just everything. And then it has the perfect ending, which it's just brilliant. I mean, if you don't really know, if you haven't heard the album from beginning to end, please listen to it. But that's it. That's my top 5 Beatles studio albums. And I really think I have put them in a really, really good order. And let me know what you think. What is your top 5 Beatles albums of all time? Is there one that I didn't list that you think should have been, or maybe one I did list that shouldn't have been? So comment down below and let me know. That I would definitely appreciate that. And before I go, I want to talk about my sponsor, which is Holly Carter with the Magic for Less Travel. She is a travel consultant that is ready to help you go on vacation. If you want to go like to Disney or Universal, or go ahead and book a cruise, she is your go-to. So I will put a QR code up on the screen so you can scan that from your phone directly on the computer screen or your television screen, and it'll take you to where you can get a absolutely no risk, completely free quote. So don't forget Holly Carter with the Magic for Less Travel, the personalized service and expert guidance you need for the vacation you deserve. So that's going to be it for me today. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe if you like the content. Ring the bell if you want to get a notification whenever a new video comes out. Go to my Instagram, which is @RedMugMusic. Follow me there as well. And that's going to be it for this week. Hope you had fun. I know I did. I'll see you guys next time.